Hello, my name is Dr. Carol Harding, and I want to take a few minutes to introduce myself to you and to just let you know how excited I am to be on this educational journey with you. And along with Andrew, your instructor, I'll be teaching assistant in the class. By way of introduction, I grew up outside of Philadelphia and was able to attend Camp Sandy Cove when I was 14. And that's where I accepted the Lord. And that started on probably 40-some years of doing some type of camp work every summer. And as we go through this introduction, I think you will see how God just had His hand on every step of the journey. So I feel very privileged in that way. From Camp Sandy Cove, I met counselors who were from Wheaton College, and then I ended up attending Wheaton, and after graduating from Wheaton, taught at Wheaton North High School for 5 years. And at the end of that 5 years, a flyer came across my desk and it said, "Would you like to supervise student teachers, and we'll pay for your coursework, and you can have your master's in a year and a half, and we'll pay you a stipend." I said, "Oh, that sounds good." So for the next year and summer, I was at University of Illinois completing my master's. And providentially, as I finished my master's, an opening came at Wheaton College to teach there. So I taught at Wheaton for the next 10 years. And there I met my husband, as they say on Wheel of Fortune, my wonderful husband, Joe. He was the athletic trainer there. And he obtained his master's then, and we took off for Montreat Anderson Junior College. We were filling in for someone who was on a year's leave of absence. And we coached the soccer team. I was Joe's assistant, and we coached the women's basketball team, and he was my assistant. And we lived in the dorm, and it was definitely an adventure. After that, Joe was hired to be the athletic director and soccer coach at Moody Bible Institute, and in 1980 we headed back to the Wheaton-Chicago area. I was still at Wheaton teaching, and I had taken a leave of absence from there for that year, and Joe was at Moody. And after that 4 years, Joe had gone to Malone College, and an opening came at Huntington College where he could be the soccer coach. And at Malone, it was a combination of Christians and non-Christians students, and he wanted to be in that environment again as a soccer coach. So we went to Huntington. There was no position at that point readily available for me, and so I took an interim spot in the student development office. And then in that next fall, they needed a career director, so I became the career director at Huntington, and did that for 6 years and coached the women's tennis team. And at the end of that time, Joe was hired back at Moody Bible Institute and finished off 25 years of soccer coaching at Moody. And at that time, when we moved back, there wasn't a position readily available for me, and I put my resume into human resources. The job that turned up was the administrative assistant to the executive editor at Moody Publishing, and later the general manager. And I feel like I started on about a 6-year leadership practicum, because I worked under Greg Thornton, vice president at Moody Publishing, and the general manager, Bill Thrasher. And so that was an adventurous 3 years. I felt a little bit out of my comfort zone to begin with, but really learned a lot. And at the end of that time, I was pretty much itching to get back into education. And Loyola University is right downtown. They had a PhD program that just seemed to fit. It was like reading the Chronicle of Higher Education every day, which is something I had normally done anyway, and so I started my coursework there. And as I was getting ready to start my coursework there, I got a letter from Loyola that said, "We're looking for a person to come into our career office as a graduate assistant. We would pay for your courses, and we would pay a stipend." And I thought, oh, well, that sounds good. So I applied for that, and then did that for the couple of years that I was doing my coursework. Another opportunity came along at the same time, and that was to be the women's ministry director at Moody Church. So I took that position, and my leadership practicum continued as I was on pastoral staff at Moody Church for 3 years with Erwin Lutzer, watching Erwin, Greg Thornton, Bill Thrasher, realizing that varied personalities can really be effective leaders, and so I enjoyed my time very much there. Providentially, as I finished my coursework, a position opened in student development at Moody, and so I became the Associate Dean for Residence Life at Moody, and had the privilege of working with 44 RAs and supervised 7 staff members for the next 11 years. And I think one of the joys for me of working in education is just being able to process life with students. So this gave me a whole nother avenue and opportunity. And I remember before that happened, I was praying, Lord, a phone, a desk, and a reason to work with college students. That was my prayer. And the Lord really answered that prayer in a kind of unusual way, but a very fitting way. And again, worked under a fabulous leader, and that was Dean Tim Ahrens, who is still there today and promoted to vice president just recently. And we were actually working on our doctorates at the same time, and we defended our dissertations in the same fall of 2003. And as that finished up, my dissertation had been on faith development of college students. I interviewed Moody students, and there was a course at Moody called Spiritual Life and Community. And so in the fall of 2004, I started teaching a classroom course of Spiritual Life and Community, and there was also an online section that I taught. So that was the beginning of my online teaching in the fall of 2004, and I've been teaching online ever since. As I got to around 2008 and retirement age, I thought, well, I think it might be time to retire, so I did. And Joe's whole family is from Central Ohio. So we owned a condo here in Ohio so we could come and visit. And so I spent a good deal of time in Ohio and back and forth to Chicago. And in the fall of 2011, Joe was in his last season of coaching soccer, and he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and went through the Whipple procedure and chemo, radiation. But we, again, were so blessed by the Lord, because the doctor who writes the textbooks for this procedure, the Whipple procedure, was the one who operated on Joe. As we have now moved our doctoring down to Ohio State, the Ohio State doctor met Joe and said, boy, I usually don't shake hands with someone who had pancreatic cancer and is 3.5 years out from surgery. So we feel very blessed, and we feel like our retirement is not retirement but reassignment. And so we're, as I said, here caring for his parents, and they're 86 and 85, and all kinds of health issues, from cancer to congestive heart failure to all the things that come along with that. So we don't have any question that we're right where the Lord wants us to be. And as I said, one of my joys in life is connecting with students. So whether that's on geographical matters or whether that's on shared interests, I'm an avid bird watcher and appreciate the beauty that God has put in nature and all around us. And so those are some of the things that we're doing. I also volunteer with hospice, local hospice, and work with the director of bereavement and co-facilitate support groups, and another opportunity to just process life with people. So that's a bit of my introduction. Joe and I did not have children, but we feel like we have kids all over the world now, from his soccer and former RAs and former students from many, many years. So I'll look forward to being in touch with you as you have questions. I know we will find the answers with the resources that we have at Moody, and individuals there that can answer questions, and the experiences that we both have had. We will be able to share that together. So I look forward to walking alongside you. Thank you very much. Have a great day.